In our last video, you saw how different living beings are interdependent. Let's look at a specific relationship between a few living organisms. Have you ever looked closely at a lawn? Do you have any idea about the number of species that thrive in a very small patch of the lawn? Let's have a closer look. What do we have here? There are tiny bugs feeding on the blades of the grass. Just when they thought they could enjoy the meal, along came a lizard and ate a tiny bug. And when we're about to think that the lizard is a carnivore, we see a huge winged creature swooping down and taking the lizard home for its dinner. That bird was a huge eagle. This chain of events looked something like this. B was eating A, then C ate B, and then D preyed on C. Let's understand this in a bit more detail. The plants make food by using the energy of the sun. The bug eats the leaves, the lizard eats the bug, and finally the eagle eats the lizard. This is what we call a food chain. This series, or organisms taking part at various biotic levels, form a food chain. Look at the food chain closely. Is it only about transfer of food? Apart from transfer of food, what flows through it is energy. Energy flows from one component of a system to another. But let me ask you a question, and I really want you to think about it. Do you think that the entire energy the plants use from the sun will move into the body of the bug? If the plant takes, say, 100 units of energy from the sun, will it transfer all the 100 units to the next level in the food chain? Not really. Studies show that only about 10% of the energy will move ahead in the food chain. Why do you think only 10% moves into the body of the next consumer? Why not all the energy? It's because the maximum energy is used up for the body processes of the organism and some of it escapes as heat into the environment. Only 10% forms the mass of the organism's body. This will then be used by the next consumer. Hence, 10% can be taken as the average amount of energy that reaches the next immediate level of consumers. Now, if we look at the pyramid, how do you think energy will move into the different levels of the pyramid? Let us see how this works. Assume that at the base of the pyramid, the producers contain 10,000 kilocalories. Considering our 10% rule, the ant will get only 1,000 kilocalories and the garden lizard would get 100 kilocalories. What about the eagle? It will receive just 10 kilocalories. Thus, the topmost consumers receive the least energy. And that is why a food chain consists of only 3 or 4 levels. Now, what we saw was a single food chain, but sometimes the plants can be eaten by ants, grasshoppers, and other tiny insects as well. These can then be eaten by lizards, chameleons, frogs, etc. These animals can then be eaten by different big birds. What we see here are multiple chains, all interconnected and interdependent. This is called as a food web. An ecosystem usually contains many food webs. We know that food webs and chains are interconnected. What do you think can be the drawback here? I want you to think about this. Yes, many harmful substances can also enter these chains. And guess who's at the top of all food chains? Humans. And they take in all the undesirable substances. If this happens, it can lead to accumulation of harmful substances in the human body. This process is called as biological magnification. The maximum amount of these substances will be stored in the topmost consumers. So there are 2 things we can say about the flow of energy in an ecosystem. First, the flow is unidirectional. Once energy flows to the next level, it does not come back to the previous level. And second, biological magnification. If harmful substances enter the food chain, it accumulates through various levels and affects the topmost consumer the most. Therefore, it is very important to monitor the environment and keep it free from the harmful substances. The slightest disturbance in a food chain or any change to a particular species can disrupt the entire balance. Environment needs a lot of care and protection. Are you ready to do that now?